Hello and welcome to Relatively Ordinary. I am Carl.
And I'm Betsy.
Good job, Betsy.
Thanks.
Here we are again for our fourth episode. We are actually recording a little bit off our normal cadence because I'm going to be on a sailboat this weekend.
Ooh, way to rub it in.
Yep. Doing the important work of helping our friend move his sailboat for the winter. So that'll be fun. So we're a little bit off our normal cadence, but we're here and ready to do our thing. Anything you want to kind of share before we get going? Anything that's happened since the last time we recorded?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, nothing special.
No,
nothing special.
Nothing. Sorry.
Yeah.
I sound like a snooze.
I mean,
it's been a long day.
You know, you made a great chili in the crock pot.
Oh, thanks.
You know, fall meal, comfort food. That was good.
Yep.
Leaves are starting to fall.
Yep.
But yeah.
Nothing else to contribute.
Steady state after that. Yeah. All right.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, I got our fun quick bite question.
All right. Fire
as you
away.
like to call it. And, you know, I had a little trouble coming up with a question because I want it to be something that I don't know the answer to. And I feel like after so many years of marriage, I pretty much either know the answer or I can predict the answer. And what fun is in that for me?
Yeah, no surprises left, right?
I don't care about the audience, care about me. So I need to be entertained. But I didn't know the answer to this question, or I would say I'm interested in
I'm going to entertain
okay,
you no matter
great.
what.
Great. So thinking about your upbringing and your parents' relationship in particular, is there anything about how you raise your family or your relationship with me that you think you've learned from them? You know, whether they demonstrated it or maybe they didn't, but you've kind of tweaked it and made it your own.
That's a cool question.
Ooh, thank you.
I would say that my parents were young when they had me, early mid-20s. And
sounds like that was planned.
yeah, we have a history in our family of, by the way, I was the first one to actually have a mostly planned post-marital child.
Nice.
So first in the
Congratulations.
bloodline for, the Sears.
Yeah.
But seriously, them being young, I think injected a lot of like youth and energy and fun in our household when my sister and I were growing up. So, there was a lot of like, I got to see my parents young. I got to know them young. And, there's some of that is not all that's positive, right? Because there's things you do when you're young that are dumb and you're like, you have to figure out your own life. It's some ways you have to figure out your own life before you go have kids and try to like raise them. But, they also, we had like backyard wiffle ball games and, we traveled a lot of cool places and sometimes we would just, turn the music up loud and, sing
party.
and dance and have fun. So,
Be goofy.
I think that that's something that I've always valued with our family. And I think sometimes like, especially now this age, like our kids are getting more independent. They have a lot of their stuff going on. But I try to make sure to value, like if we have a chance to play, basketball in the pool or, go to the arcade and at the beach and
down the clown.
Down the clown,
Down that clown together.
So a lot like just trying to keep the
young
fun.
energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. How about you? Anything you want to?
Well, to juxtapose that, my parents being the third and my parents being a little bit older, for their, cohort, their age cohort, were a little bit older when they first got started. I'd say my parents had a good family routine down. And one thing that we continue to do when we're together as a family, but we try to prioritize is that daily family time. So I do really value when it's happening less and less because of everyone's busy lives. But, when we can have that opportunity to sit down and do dinners together.
Yeah, your family's really good at having meals together.
Yeah. And connecting and, even if it turns into like a big fight and
fights are the way we spend time together as family sometimes.
Totally. It's just that regular time to connect that you can, respect in your schedule every day, or, on a routine basis at the very least, so that you can check in on each other. And most of the time it's good. There are those times where we do end up squabbling. But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was good.
Yeah. Cool.
That's my quick bite.
All right. Well, so today's topic is I'm gonna keep it light, and for
good.
I don't have to tell you this, but for anyone who might be listening, we're recording this on a weeknight, a busy weeknight where there's lots going on. So we're just gonna keep it light and kind of an easy, hopefully an easy question.
Okay.
So my topic for today is about hope.
Okay.
You've described yourself as an optimistic person.
Oh yeah, to a fault sometimes.
And so, and we've had some heavier conversations about, tougher topics and tougher things to swallow. Mm-hmm. But to keep it kind of light and positive, we'll go from society, community, family.
Okay.
From a society perspective, what do you hope? What gives you hope? What are things that you're optimistic about looking towards the future?
I guess I am optimistic twofold. I think there are things that are being unearthed right now on a societal level that people are, building awareness and some momentum around to potentially change, whether it's happening now or not. And it's fueling the fire for some change and innovation. And I think what aligns with that, which is exciting for me, is, this big shift we've seen in technology, and not just with generative AI, but also, some of the things we now, can harness as far as generating, non-fossil fuel burning power and energy sources, and, just coming up with better ways, hopefully, if we can, innovate and also kind of align with cost effectiveness and, the political change that needs to happen to, better create some infrastructure, think about sustainability. And I know those are not things that our current administration is prioritizing. I think it's coming regardless. Mm-hmm. So that's what I stay optimistic about. And I'm optimistic about the future generation. Like our kids are growing up in this new world. And, I can see myself being an older individual, for lack of a better word, being like, feeble around accessing the technology in a efficient way. But, it's just going to supersede us, mm-hmm. and at a rate that we probably can't appreciate right now. And it's gonna, hopefully do more good than harm. We just need to kind of, find that right balance. But I always have hope for the next generation.
Are you an AI optimist?
I definitely see the potential downside, but I am an optimist because I think, again, when we look at history, we've seen our ability to adopt technologies for good. I think we need to be very aware of the downside. When we think about the economic challenges that it potentially proposes, when we think about the ecological challenges it proposes, like we need, and that stuff, I can't speak to it. I just know that it exists, and it's not all positive. And it's changing the landscape for how we run business and job functions and academia, so many things. But
the rate of change is incredible.
But I'm optimistic, and I think, at least in my career, I'm seeing it be adopted in very positive ways. So I think as long as people are aware of the downsides and are trying to mitigate some of those problems. Mm-hmm. But again, it's not my area of expertise. I'm just super fascinated by it. And I'm not I wouldn't say anywhere near an early adopter, but someone who is interested in learning more and how it might apply to the betterment mm-hmm. of my roles in life.
Yep.
So
yep. Makes sense.
Yeah. How about you? I don't know if that would be your same answer, or if there's something else you're optimistic about.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting. Talking about younger generations. Like I worry for the younger generations in terms of, like, first of all, just some of the crap cards they've been dealt. I mean, they are going to inherit a lot of debt. They're going to inherit a lot of, social decay and environmental challenges and all of that. But
shifts in public policy
yeah,
that might negatively impact them.
but also, young people are like, first of all, the way that our kids and the younger generations have grown up with technology, they're just so innate. It's so like natural to them, and things like you like being able to use AI, being able to write code, being able to like manipulate virtual worlds. They get it so much faster because it's just like the world they're growing up in. And so I think that there's always, I think every generation always looks at the next generation. You're like, oh my God, they're not going to figure it out. They're going to figure it out. And I think they're going to do some incredible things. And so I think,
what I will say though, the figuring it out, students will get this, like they can figure out this application. And, some of them, there's to truly capitalize on what something offers, you need to study it, you need to explore it, and I think sometimes that gets grazed over. So I just needed to say that, because while we say digital natives, I don't think they're always as adept as we think they are.
I think it goes back to our first conversation about why we're doing a podcast, and I mentioned that I want to create something, not just always consume. And I think there's a big divide with people who are creators. And I mean, look, there's some absolute drivel content out there.
Oh yeah.
And
stuff that's harmful.
Yeah. And we're trying, to not create garbage. At least we can create something that's like,
it might be recycling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can upcycle our podcast into something better, hopefully. But, still, the act of creating and putting something out in the world, even if it is kind of trash, is different than just sort of this
consumerism. Yeah.
Doom scrolling stuff. So I think some of it is there's some people who innately are hey, this is great. Let me adapt this thing, this technology, this platform to, create something in the world. And then other people who are just how can I do this as lazily as possible?
Yeah.
And, I think the fortune favors the bold.
Yes. But now we're off topic a little bit. So.
No, we're not.
Oh,
so
okay.
the kind of thinking about it from a more of a community level. Okay. And, I want you to think about really kind of our home state of Maine.
Okay. So a little broader than our immediate community.
Yeah. But it's our community, right? We're, this context we're in, maybe including some facets of our family life, our local community here, but also you as an educator in this state. And what are some things that, you look about optimistically there?
Oh, well, I hate to have a long pause here because nothing is jumping out at me. It doesn't mean that I'm not optimistic. I just don't think my optimism has changed recently, and maybe I shouldn't be thinking of it in that frame. I would say I'm, probably similar answer, being optimistic about future generations. I think this is just my impression, but I think there is some genuine interest for, young adults to just, make roots somewhere, right? To do that rite of passage in a way that is sustainable.
So are you talking about making roots in Maine?
Yeah. And well, yes, thank you for clarifying, but I just assumed thinking state level. So, I see a lot of people wanting to stay in the state. And again, this is just my more
because Maine's always
lens.
been known as a brain drain state, where
and,
young people want to leave the state.
Yes, and even not necessarily get educated, post-secondary education here. Graduate high school and get out. And, that was, honestly, before I moved here myself, I had that same impression. I was like, what? There's nothing in Maine. It's just all woods. So yes, I apologize for my former self in her bias.
And
but
it is all woods, which is why we want to live here.
which is amazing, which is part of why I love it. It's the best of both worlds. But yeah, what I would say is I'm seeing people wanting to, establish themselves here and just appreciating the simple things. They want a sustainable career. They want to be able to buy a home. They want to be able to raise a family. They want to be able to enjoy the beautiful nature and, the open-minded culture of our state. And I think there's enough, again, like there's certainly a lack of diversity if you think about, various, buckets of what makes a person or people diverse. But I think we're seeing an increase in the diversity. And I think there's a diversity of, I don't know how to best describe it, like the way of thinking. And so I think, it's welcoming.
I mean, not all diversity is about the color of
Yes.
people's skin, right?
Yes.
It's not all about race. Like,
Yeah.
it is not a very
Race,
diverse place
religion,
based
gender,
on
exactly,
race, but it is, there's a lot of history here, and there's a lot of reasons why people want to live in Maine, and people who have long family ties like my family, and then people who, just loved it when they came on vacation and never wanted to leave.
Yeah, and I think there's a variety to speak to that. There's a variety of reasons why people want to stay, and I think that's great. I always think, at least for the students who I know who come from all over the country to study in our institutions, I just assume, they're going to go back home, and maybe eventually they will. That's kind of what we did when we had a young family, and it just made it easier to be near, your immediate family for support. But I'm seeing a lot of students graduate and want to stay because there is a role for them here. There's a place here, and I think there's a good quality of life.
Yeah. We just have to figure out the massive housing problem.
Yes.
And cost of living.
I think we're in the hub of that. It does get a little bit better relative to this.
Yeah.
Cool. I don't know if you have a different opinion. It took me
No.
a little while to pinpoint that, but you know,
no, I mean,
it is a Monday night.
I fully agree. I think and I think that it's interesting too, because I think there's something about Maine, its history, its geography. It's a very independent thinking type of state. Like, one of the things I like to say is, there are things that you can take, like a hardened Republican and a hardened Democrat, and they're both going to be like, well, yeah, we want to preserve our forests and keep our air and water clean so we can go fish and hunt and recreate and do the things we love to do. And so I think that there's sometimes a resistance to the type of thinking that sometimes you see in other places. And there's also just a independent thought and spirit of people here. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I'd be curious to go out in the field and, poll people from other areas of the world to say, well, most of the time you're going to be like, where's Maine? And I'll be like, well, you know where New York City is?
Yeah.
But
if you can find New York City on a map, you're
just
close enough.
Keep going northeast.
Yeah.
But I would genuinely be curious about what first came to someone's mind when you said Maine.
Yeah.
Right?
Lobster, trees.
Yeah. Yes. And like why people
flannel,
why
bean
people
boots,
the tourism things.
Yeah.
But I think it might be a little more evolved than that at this point. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, go us.
Yeah.
Go Maine.
Yeah, go Maine. All right. And then lastly, our family.
Our family. What am I optimistic about our family? Well, I think we have 2 amazing kids. I think we have a solid marriage. I'm genuinely looking forward to retirement where I have my own time back and I
right
can
around the corner.
enjoy, not right around the corner enough, where I can enjoy, my pleasures of living in the state and my family, but not to rush it. Yeah, I think I'm optimistic about those pieces, like anyone might be, and I I don't know. It's hard. I find it difficult sometimes with the questions because I like to have a very well-constructed thought that I genuinely own.
Just let it rip.
And the ad-libbing, I'm like, well,
rip.
maybe I'll regret that answer. Oh,
There's no wrong answer. Just let
no,
it rip.
I know that, but there is the most rightest answer in my mind.
Well, we have about 4 listeners of this podcast right
Yeah.
now, and 2 of them are sitting
Me
right
and
here.
you. All right. Yeah, but I'm going to be extra critical. I'm the worst critic. Yeah, I don't know. I guess, yeah. I'm optimistic about and have hope that I have done a good job keeping myself healthy, and that will just allow me to have future quality of life years. I don't know. The simple, boring things in life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. What are you
I think
optimistic about?
you put good energy out in the world.
Oh, thanks.
And generally that's going to return good energy. So, you have accumulated trust and friendship and, goodwill, and you've done a great job raising our 2 kids so far. And
thanks.
you've
Except
been
when I'm not doing a good job.
Well, everyone has their moments. And you've been, a great wife and partner, and
thanks.
you're a halfway decent podcast co-host.
Yeah.
So
I'm learning.
yeah. So I think
I'll take
we're there's a lot to like about that, and
Yeah.
I think it's good to just from time to time take a pause and reflect on what's going well.
As I listen to you, I think that's when I do my best thinking. I don't know
Yeah,
if that means I'm ignoring you.
Because you're not listening to me.
No, I'm just joking. I was listening to you, but it also brought up something else that I think is worth mentioning. Like we've had some bumps in the road because of things that have happened with our immediate family, right? We've definitely seen some heartache and some challenges, and through all of that, even though there are those rough weeks where you're not sleeping well and you're super stressed and there's so many unknowns and you're just needing to be reactive because you have new stressors and challenges thrown your way. And for those who are curious, it's mostly about close family being sick or dying, and the need to juggle all the things while that's happening, and also chaos with work and the stressors of our kids, who for the most part have actually helped us stay sane, believe it or not. But it's one of those things that through all of that, while you're going, it's the throes of all of that, you can come out on the other side and you're like, oh, upon reflection, we did okay. We managed that well. And that gives me hope. That keeps me optimistic, till death do us part, and and sickness and poorer and et cetera, that, if you can manage
hang
that
on,
stuff.
because I got like 60 years left. You think you can hang on that long?
Wow. I mean, it probably amplifies as you get older, especially if you get like needier and crabbier and all
I'm going
that.
to get more awesome.
Oh, I hope so. But yes, that has me optimistic. I don't know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, love it. I love seeing the smile it put on your face to have that conversation.
Thanks.
So, anything you're still chewing on?
Oh, I guess I'm chewing on the fact that I probably need to give it more intention, right? I'm as we've brought this up before, I'm not someone who journals. I do have a mindful practice, and it allows me to think about these things, but I think it's important to sustain that hope and optimism. It takes, the metacognitive skills of reflection and maybe meditation. So yeah, I think I'm going to chew on that. I probably won't do it, but but this has been very therapeutic to talk about.
You'll chew on it until you take the melatonin tonight.
Yeah, no, I'll fall asleep and forget about
You'll
it.
chew on that melatonin.
Yeah.
All right. And anything that feels relatively ordinary?
I think it all feels relatively ordinary. I'm hoping everyone has the same situation in their lives, right? As far as all 3 levels. And if not, move to Maine. And,
No, don't move to Maine.
Oh, yeah, no, never mind.
Yeah.
We don't have a wall built, but we don't want overcrowding.
Yeah. No, we're good.
No, there's plenty of room. We love anyone who's going to appreciate our state. Yeah. And, for those couple listeners who might be out there, if you have anything to contribute with your optimism, I always love hearing it. Yeah. And so I'll say that. It feels relatively ordinary, but other people have.
And how would listeners get in touch with us if?
Oh, I guess they could email us.
At what email?
I don't know because you set
don't
it
have
up.
an email address.
No, I thought you had an email address.
Yeah, we don't have an email address. So
Okay.
we'll work on that. We'll work on
but we have
that.
an
But,
Instagram.
So here's Betsy.
What's our Instagram?
It's relatively ordinary.
Perfect. Hit us up with I'm not really good with the social media. Can you send a message through Instagram? Yes, you can. I'm pretty sure I've received one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, eventually we will get on the social media.
I don't need
and
another email address though.
But we're not on that yet. So,
Instagram. That's where it be at.
Yeah. So she's lying. We don't really have a place to go, but we will soon. We will soon. So, but yeah, if you are listening, thank you very much.
I'm just working on the networking.
And yeah, we'd love to hear from you once we have actually set up a way for you to get in touch with us.
This is great. Thanks, babe.
All right. Good stuff.